Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a fun-filled edition of the Star Wars Stuff Podcast. My name is David.
I'm Colin.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Josh spelled backwards.
Oh, wow. His name changes every week.
How do you pronounce that?
Hashaj.
My favorite Jedi name.
Second only to Jedi Master Shaggy.
Oh yeah, from the 2003 Clone Wars. Classic. Okay. All right. Well, that's the episode. Thanks for watching. I'm just kidding.
And this is where we talk all things Star Wars. And of course, we had two awesome, excellent, top tier, top level episodes of Star Wars drop early this morning. And on this episode of the podcast, we are going to talk about The Mandalorian, Chapter 20. Entitled The Foundling, directed by Carl Weathers, written by Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. But before we get started, we want to thank all of our awesome patrons.
Yeah, let's go.
On the purple tier, we have Chris Simpson, Kevin Leininger, Devin McCaffrey, Drew Peters, Sean Greathouse, and Zach Netzel. On the red tier, we have Fenrir526, Maya Morris, Texas Vader 76. And on the black tier, we have Maga Talatala, Nathan Shank, Evan O'Paker, and Liam McCallion. Thank you so much for your awesome love and support. And now on to Chapter 20, The Foundling.
And something that we need to lead with, because apparently people just don't know this, but spoiler alert, very, very obvious reason. Spoiler alert for Chapter 20. I don't know why people are acting like people weren't going to talk about the episode today, but everyone was freaking out about it, and I just thought it was so funny. We had a post on Instagram that that I made very quickly, and I put two spoiler alert things, so it wouldn't be the actual spoiler when you posted it, but people gotta understand that people will talk about this. It's not like you're gonna have to stay off the internet. It's your choice of not watching it at launch, and things get busy, we understand, but people are going to talk about it. So
if you manually swipe through spoilers, and then see a spoiler and are unhappy about it, that's on you. That's on
you.
The post did everything.
Totally on you. And then for Facebook, just stay on Facebook. Just until
don't
you
go
watch
on
it.
Facebook, period.
Yeah.
That's a better way to go about life.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are you, old?
Yeah.
No, actually.
So without further ado here, I will play the podcast. But I did an update on my computer.
Wow, an update.
And it's playing the audio out loud, so I'm going to fix
weird.
that.
Okay, well, this episode was great because we had a return of a great actor in live action, and we also had a great double story of where we learn more about how the foundlings trained and everything, and more backstory for the Mandalorian people, more stuff about Order 66. And I thought it was done well. I thought it was done in a beautiful way. I didn't feel like the story was forced. I didn't feel like, okay, blah, 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 Order 66, and then here's the rest of the story. It felt genuine. It felt like it was a fluent story. I know in the Book of Boba Fett, when they did flashbacks, it was Boba would crawl into the back to tank, and then we would just get a flashback. And this one, it illogically made sense of why Grogu had his flashback in this, and it was
apparently
done
if you're
awesome.
in the clan of the Mudhorn, when the armor's blacksmithing, you just are inclined to getting flashbacks.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So yeah, no, I thought that was done in an awesome way, and I'm so happy with the episode. Even though I think this was the shortest one, right? This is the shortest episode that they've ever done in the actual show.
Let me do a quick check on that. I had a beautiful screenshot pulled up. I was staring at. I had to open a new tab. So I don't want to lose it.
32 minutes long.
Yeah.
So.
I swear on my name.
I would turn off the audio.
Yes.
David.
So this was the shortest episode, beating out season or chapter 2 only by 1 minute.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. So overall, how did we feel about the whole episode? I know we talked about it,
Good.
off the mics, but
Very good. Very entertaining. And that's the thing. From the last episode, I was kind of like, you really have to be paying attention and feel like you're actually getting into the story. This was just like, it was fast enough to where I'm like, we have what we want. We're going to watch it. Great. Okay, cool. And we're done. Awesome. I got everything I wanted out of this episode instead of sitting there like, goodness, this is a long episode. Like I had everything. I loved the pacing. I loved how fast it was going. There's good answers for things that we wanted to know. I'm like, wow, cool.
Yeah.
Short and sweet. Loved it.
Yeah, no, agreed. It really was short and sweet. We got a lot of questions answered, which I was kind of surprised at getting for being just at the halfway point in this season. A lot of the things that are happening this season are happening at a pace faster than I was expecting, like Din hitting the mines, seeing the backstory of Grogu, like these things are kind of happening faster. But I also, again, really enjoyed delving more into the culture of Mandalore and Mandalorians and how, kind of an ancient cultural perspective on how they operated, and seeing it through Bo's eyes is a very interesting way to reintroduce us as we delve more into this. Because originally our surrogate was Din, as he learned more about Mandalorians in season 1, and now we have Bo. So it's kind of her being reintroduced to this. And it's very interesting. I think it's well done on how they're choosing to have those character dynamics.
Yeah, and this whole training session and in the beginning of this episode, how did we feel about that? Because it was very reminiscent to some of the kind of training stuff of the Mandalorians that we got in the Clone Wars, of where they were kind of getting all the people from Death Watch like all ready, and then you had like the different crime families like coming to the planet and getting ready. This is what it reminded me of. But them shooting just in the water and everything kind of threw me off, because I was like, oh, okay, I don't know how that's helping your training, because you're just shooting off and into the distance and you're not.
What are you aiming for? The body of water? Did you hit it? Yes, good job.
Yeah.
Nice work.
I think if you miss the body of water, you're just like exiled. You're like, all right, go bathe in the mines of Mandalore. You missed the huge body of water.
I absolutely love seeing more of this sect of life for Mandalorians, and I mean especially with the whole Grogu situation, that made me absolutely lose my mind in laughter. I was like, "You're gonna put a wrist launcher on this tiny thing?"
Yeah, that also threw me
What
off
are the
too.
rules for that engagement? Because the other kid, Paz's son, was just like, boop, one shot. Okay, reset, guys. We got to reset, back off. One shot. Hold off, guys. We can't finish off the little child too quickly. And then Grogu does 2 jumps and just like rapid blasts him. It's like the game's over. He wins. It's the weirdest set of rules I've ever seen in a game. But good on Paz's son for not being. I would have been pissed about that. I was like, I couldn't just rapid blast him. He's standing still.
I was laughing my head off because I'm like, I guess we're getting to this point, and I think I brought this up earlier, is that he is now more mature than I think people are really grasping right now, because they're like, baby, but now he's like really just entirely like, all right, I'm flipping around, I'm doing my own little thing. Like I'm like, goodness, it's so weird having him be like his own character where he doesn't need technically anyone anymore. I'm like, oh, but I'm just imagining them giving him a Mandalorian helmet, and it's like, how are you gonna put it on him? Like, how are you gonna put all this gear on him?
It just feels weird, and then I feel like once the helmet goes on, it's like, okay, we're not going to see his face anymore, except if there's scenes like by himself. But
all right, recite the creed.
Yeah,
recite the creed.
Yeah, like
it's gonna be 100 years before he can recite the creed.
Could you imagine him
for real?
just like
That's
wearing
serious,
that?
He's gonna be dead. He's gonna be like armor's like on her deathbed. He's like, oh, that little green thing over there. It's not in the creed yet. It's yet to speak. Do anything fun.
It's been a part of us for like 200 years now. He still hasn't really said anything, but one day he'll be a part.
There was one night where we were just trying to get it to speak anything. We thought it said this is the way, but like we can't prove it. So
Oh jeez. Oh man. But to me the scene where like he does the front flip and then he kind of lands and then Bo-Katan's like, did you teach him that, was just so funny because it just
Sure.
is, yeah. It's just like, oh okay.
you
And
bet I did.
and then for Paz's son too, I just think it was so great for him to hit a small target like that. Like he like knew exactly, it looked like exactly where to shoot, and it was super quick. And then Grogu smokes him like in 5 seconds. Like he's like, okay, my turn. And he uses a flip over him, flip again, and then he gets him.
Nope.
The closest possible range to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Paintball tag a child.
Oh.
I'm not gonna put those words back to back.
Did we get a name for the creature that took? All right, so first,
flying pterodactyl bird dragon. Yes. Why do we?
What's
keep
the name
having-
of the kid again?
The kid's
Ragnar.
name is Ragnar Vizsla.
Ragnar.
And the creature is it just disappeared because ads.
Yeah.
Pterosaur.
A pterosaur. Okay.
Apparently, there is not a Wikipedia article for the pterosaur, but the name is on the plot summary.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So that may change, but for now, that's what we're at.
A pterosaur, a mythosaur. Soon we'll get the dinosaur, and then
The
we'll have
pterosaur is an actual thing, though.
Oh, okay.
Like it's an actual dinosaur.
Maybe they're using that as a placeholder.
Maybe, but it's a. Oh yeah, no. A pterosaur is a derivative of the flying reptile class Pterosauria. So it's a general term for flying reptile thing.
Yeah, actually, I've been hearing another name for it. It's called a Shriekhawk.
Oh.
Yeah. And I believe, yeah, if you Google it, I just simply Googled Mandalorian flying beast, and Shriekhawk pops up with the picture of the creature.
So Shriekhawk is the logo of the Death Watch.
What? Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But from what I can see, the Wikipedia article says that it is in Chapter 20 as an armor sigil, but not as the actual beast. I think it's something different.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah.
I also felt, which I think someone said this in the chat, but with all the flying that we see with the Mandalorians in this episode, it definitely felt like a Clone Wars, type episode.
Yeah, I love the shot we're about to approach right here when the Mandos are going into the cavern and you have like all of them like tilting their head to be normal to the ground with the jetpack. It was such a fun shot, and there was a lot of very fun camera work for specific scenes that they utilized this episode. That was fun to see.
It's interesting to me how we have all this stuff going on here and they just decide to just stay there. I'm just like, everything is trying to kill you, and I'm wondering if they're kind of just like, it's a rite of passage. I'm like, dude. And then they're like, when he gets captured by the like pterodactyl or whatever, they're like, yeah, they've killed a couple younglings or foundlings. And I was like,
yeah, because they openly say this isn't the first time.
Like,
It always gets way too far. All that stuff. Yeah, no. I mean, they're a warrior culture. It's a remote land on some planet.
I'm like, okay.
I'm looking forward to next week's creature that tries to kill him.
Yeah, pretty much. This has happened twice already. I'm like, dude. And then when he's like, I guess he's just in the stomach for like, what, a day? Like over a day?
However long it takes. Yeah, there's the sigil of a Shriekhawk, which also, that sigil is present on Boyle's helmet from the Clone Wars. For some reason. this is the canon's reference. So when Bo is like talking about her training and how high it is, like, you know, they're talking about how high that peak is. It gets no higher than the peaks of Kairomoru, which is the remote bastion and stronghold in the Republic Commando novels.
There's your tie-in, bro.
Yeah,
There you go.
There's
Happy
when I was
for ya.
really happy to hear that. I talked to Hunter about that just a little bit ago, but yeah,
That's
no.
funny.
So just hearing recognition of Kairomoru in some way, bringing it back into canon is really, really, really fun. But yeah, there's my one deep Legends reference that they had this week.
Yeah. I also love how they're kind of just accepted, hey, we're on the same team going forward. It's really cool to see a Vizsla and a Kryze actually work side by side again. And they're, because we haven't seen that since the actual like Clone Wars. So it's awesome to see both of those kind of groups work together. How do we feel about the creature though? Like, I think the creature's great, but
Newfoundlings.
yeah.
Oh, we'll
Which-
talk about that later. How we're
We'll
about to
get
get
to that later, but
medieval Mandalorians on dragons.
yeah. Which I got a feeling that those creatures will play a part in the which again we'll get to it, but I feel like we're leading to an Avengers type like kind of setup for like all these shows. And I could just see like in the big battle just a couple of the Mandalorians riding these creatures when they get older. I could see it happening, and then maybe Bo or Din is riding like the Mythosaur in the battle, something like that. It'd be wild.
Boba Fett rides the Rancor. Just every Mandalorian just riding some creature. But yeah,
That'd be
no,
crazy.
I think
Mythosaur.
the
That'd
creatures
be
that they've
hilarious.
chosen so far, though, I think fit very well for the world that they're in.
Yeah.
Which I think is important.
And then we have Bo. You know, she is she's making Grogu like the Mudhorn symbol, and this is where, you know, she triggers a flashback, kind of like what we got in season 1 of Mando, of where when she was making his pauldron, he had his flashback to the Clone Wars. So a joke that the other Josh made earlier was that, like, you know, if you're part of the Mudhorn clan and you hear clanking of a hammer, you're gonna have a very dramatic, traumatizing flashback.
It was pretty funny.
And in this case, this is probably one of the worst flashbacks that you could get, because they're going back to probably one of the worst things that has ever happened in the Star Wars universe.
Probably the most televised thing in the Star Wars universe.
Yes,
for like 4 years,
which is
though.
crazy. Yeah, it's so crazy, because I remember watching that episode of the Bad Batch, and we just opened up where we were like, oh, it's Caleb Dune, and then we were like, oh no, and then Order 66 happened in Bad Batch, and I'm like, no, not again. And somehow we got an even more adorable version of Grogu.
In the same pram that Grogu was in season 1, too, without all the weathering and stuff.
Yeah.
But the Jedi issue pram, Grogu was in at least from Order 66 to 5 years after Return of the Jedi.
And I'm really glad that this flashback was not the tunnel vision type flashback that we got in the Book of Boba, where, like, you know how like the only like vision that we got from that flashback in Book of Boba was where he was just focusing on the Jedi and the clones coming at him, and we didn't get anything else around him. This was actually like scenes, like full out scenes, and I love that. And I was really hoping it wasn't going to be tunnel vision, so I'm glad that worked out.
Mhm.
But the 4 Jedi defending him in the hallway and everything, they don't have names. It's Jedi 1, Jedi 2, Jedi 3, Jedi 4.
Are they played by anyone interesting?
I don't think so. I know some people were suspecting that one of them was going to be Syndralic. I was saying no to that. I was, I just.
So did anyone like automatically know it was Ahmed Best when you heard "Get the Youngling to Kelleran"?
No. I think that was the beauty of it. I honestly, I don't think anyone really predicted it. I don't think anyone really thought like, oh, hey, it's going to be his character. Okay. We didn't know that it was going to be him rescuing Grogu. A lot of people were thinking it was Quinlan or
I mean, it was a part of all the whole predictions as a whole. I mean, and people brought up like Mace and Barriss Offee and Quinlan Voss possibly.
Yeah.
But
I expected
we
it to
did bring
be
it up on the podcast that it would be awesome to see Ahmed Best be his character from the Jedi Temple Challenge.
And we actually have a
which is what it was.
timestamp on that too. It was January 7th, 2019. We predicted it. Yeah, that's right. No, just kidding. But yeah. Seeing him return was great.
Yeah.
I was so happy. I jumped off the couch and like clapped. I was like, let's go.
Yeah. It was definitely good seeing. I was like, my goodness.
Carl
And-
Weathers also has shown himself to be really good at directing Grogu.
Yes.
At least, like in all the episodes that Carl's had control of Grogu, I feel like Grogu feels the best. At least out of most of them. At least I'm personally just really enjoying how he directs Grogu.
Something that also made me really happy for the actor is that this man has been through a lot. He was sent death threats. He was bullied for playing Jar Jar Binks all the way back in Phantom Menace, and the love that he's gotten over the years, and the fact that he returned is remarkable. And I'm
Redemption moment. I was like, yeah.
I am so happy that he was the one that saved Grogu. I know that most if it ended up being Mace Windu or someone would this episode probably get more views? Yes, but
no.
I didn't want to feel it like I didn't want this episode to be a bunch of fan service. I didn't want to be like, oh, it's Mace Windu, like, oh my gosh, let's go, because it just really wouldn't make that much sense because his arm just got chopped off. So like his hand got chopped off. And he would just kind of come back to the temple of just being like, okay, here we go, round 2. No, like it like needs to make sense. So I'm glad it wasn't someone that we fully know. We only know this character through the game show, Jedi Temple Challenge. And I remember when it came out in 2020.
I don't know if it's the same character.
Yes.
It is.
Yep. Yes, it is.
Kelleran Beck, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
But
So it's the game show's canon.
No.
Different robes though.
Wow.
Yeah.
If you notice the collar, he has like kind of
the
gold
High Republic.
ornamental stuff. Yeah, kind of gives off those vibes.
Yeah. But yeah, no. Seeing him return, seeing Ahmed Best return was incredible. I was so happy, and I know I'm just seeing it everywhere of just the love and the praise that he's getting, and it's well deserved. So
Get those clones. Kill them all.
and yes, oh yeah. Seeing the temple on fire really got me because I was just like, oh my gosh, and then for all lightsaber moves that he did too were fantastic.
Only you can stop forest fires.
Yeah. I kept hearing from people that his like the way that he was moving the lightsabers was like wrong or something, and that the way that he was moving
told
his
you that?
lightsabers was weak.
Who told you that?
Shut up.
give me
Be
their name.
happy that we have bark speeders with sidecars in live action.
Yeah,
Have we got that before?
we got that in the Clone
Clone
Wars.
Wars.
We
Not
never
live
got that
action.
live action.
Yeah.
But just again, he did fantastic. Like all of his lightsaber moves were great. I felt like the choreography was fantastic.
Is it
Hands
just
He
down.
weird? Does
looked like
Grogu
he
look
was
a little
actually
younger?
putting in effort.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and he posted a picture of him like at the gym. Is his like
Yeah.
like good for you for putting in the work and like all that jazz. So he seems to be having a
Put
good
in
time.
the effort.
Yeah.
I cannot say the same for the last new character to use a lightsaber. So I'm very happy with this. Because I was thinking about it, and I was like, the last time we had someone like this was Reva, and I was like, no. In comparison to me being like and sitting here and going like that character with anything to do with lightsaber trash. This I was like, let's go. This looks like someone who's actually passionate and wants to be there. I was like, that's amazing. I was so happy.
And she actually was not a Star Wars fan, right? Like she said that she really didn't get into Star Wars until she started filming Obi-Wan Kenobi. I thought, her character arc was great, but and again, she did not deserve the hate that the actress got. But the character surviving twice of getting stabbed by Vader is what threw me off. For me, because it's Vader. Like, there's only a few people that I know that could walk away from that. So that was the thing that kind of threw me off about her character. Again, I did think, she was great, but the way that that she would just survive after getting stabbed twice was just I was really shocked by that. But again, going back to this scene for Order 66, the whole thing with the speeder bike chase and the lightsaber fights and everything, with all this happening within a 5-minute span, it didn't feel rushed at all. Like, it felt like a sequence. And our friend Ben Kessel said that it felt like it was pulled out of the prequels. Like, it felt like a full out movie scene, and it was just awesome. It's fantastic.
Do you guys think that maybe they did a bit of de-aging on Grogu here?
I suspect it because he does look younger. Like, and from my point of view, I don't know about you guys, but he does look younger because he looks.
How do you think they did it? A new puppet, or they simply just CGI'd him?
I could see them doing a new puppet, but each puppet's like $1 million, right?
Possibly, but also like the environment is so different than anything we've seen Grogu in before. Like bright lights and white backgrounds, and so that also could have, because the the puppet, the animatronic, has a lot of like stuff that reacts with the light in the environment it's in because of the quote unquote skin texture and how the light interacts with the outer material of his face. So part of me wonders if they were just like, guys, keep the eyes as wide open as you can for this whole sequence, and then the lights will do all the tricks we need. Maybe a little less hair. The return of Lardies.
Yeah, seeing the gunships in action too were great.
With extra lights on them too. Like, we got like landing lights, we got front like designation, like we got so much fun stuff. And huge props to them for having the Lardies stay Attack of the Clones / Revenge of the Sith style, like with the weird like hallway openings on the front sides and keeping the bubble turrets as a constant, instead of making a live action version of the Lardies we grew to love in Clone Wars, which is like fully sealed off and all that jazz. I really do give them props for keeping them as Revenge of the Sith style Lardies with only a few like light additions for visual clarity.
The pilots for the gunships in this episode, though, were just shock troopers, right? They like weren't like your standard pilot clone. It was just a shock trooper.
Yes, and we didn't get the Coruscant Guard livery of the Lardy like we did in Clone Wars, but I will say the FBFX clone designs are starting to grow on me. I didn't like how clean they were, but seeing that clean shock trooper is pretty nice. It works really well for shocks, and so I really enjoyed seeing the growing era of these new live action clones getting all these paint schemes that we know and love in new ways.
You can also tell that, and from my point of view, it looked like most of the clones here were not animated, and they did look live action.
They were the FB.
Yeah.
First.
Where are they going? That's the new question.
I think that might be a question that will be answered soon, possibly a celebration because
did-
Dave Filoni.
I loved how with having that, it was funny. They're like, all right, here's your answered question. All right, here's a new question, Lamau. They're just like, all right, immediately slotted a new question just to like be like, all right, now you get to ponder about this. And I was like, well, all right, let's see. What it goes.
And this is actually something that Ben, Token, and myself talked about like an hour ago, which was like, where do they go? And you've got a lot of surviving Jedi. Well, not a lot, but there's some Jedi that we
Quinlan.
know that survived. And there's a show that Dave Filoni is working on. And it's going to be like the next live action like Star Wars show, and it's supposed to kind of take place during it's supposed to tie into the Mandalorian timeline in some way. How cool would it be if they did like a Jedi survival show where we get different points of view of different Jedi surviving Order 66, like in the first episode, and then they all meet up, and then that would answer like where Grogu was all this time, and just all
Another
that stuff.
slam dunk idea, man. Another slam dunk.
Yeah. So and honestly, people would love it. And as I don't get why they just don't do it, because they've been showing so much stuff at Order 66. So why not? And then the other idea, which again, this is from our friend Ben, is where they would do a couple episodes on maybe season 2 of Tales of the Jedi, of where they would, kind of show Grogu and his savior just kind of surviving Order 66, and then it would lead up to where we see Grogu and Mando season 1, which I think a whole live action show would be better in my opinion. But if they do Tales of the Jedi, I think that would work too. But if they did like a whole show live action where we just get a bunch of different surviving Jedi, I think that would be incredible. And on top of that, this season definitely feels like it's setting up a lot of different things. It's setting up Ahsoka. It's setting up Skeleton Crew, and then this could be setting up the next live action show, which we might get an announcement over at Star Wars Celebration in London in a couple of weeks.
Mm.
So yeah, this was kind of interesting right here, making that Beskar chest plate for Grogu. It's a little random, a little clunky.
I was going to use this as a dinner plate, but now you shall wear it.
I was like, doesn't he already have the chest protection? I was like, what?
Yeah,
Why are we
chainmail.
putting this? Okay.
This
And
might
then
be
I was
more
like-
decorative.
I was
literally
honestly fully expecting it to be a hat.
Yeah.
Like I was like, is this gonna be like the in-between helmet for Grogu? It's just some like
And
disc on his head.
and then he would just use the hat like the bounty hunter Embo would from the Clone Wars, and then he would just be running and he would just kind of chuck it and just take out people's ankles.
I was expecting that more than I was expecting more chest protection. But honestly, like it's a kid. You want to see the face.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Gives him the signet of the Mudhorn clan Jarn.
I want Embo in live action. I want to see him in live action so bad, and then also it would make sense too because he's technically the bodyguard of Mothma during the Aftermath series and then the New Republic and everything. So that would be so cool.
We had brought that comment up like earlier when he first got that chainmail, and we're like, oh, he's definitely gonna get shot in the chest, and everyone's gonna be like, and then he's gonna open it up, oh, Mithril, like the whole like scene. But then they're like, all right, we're gonna put another piece of. I'm like, why are we doing this? And then I was like, if he's only gonna have an armor underneath that like cloak he has, I'm gonna be like, oh, okay, I guess so. Like, I know how much they're getting restricted by just having these character designs stay the same because of marketing. And I really, really feel that he needs to be able to be like his own armor. Like, you can keep everything with his head open because he still can't speak yet, but give him a new look, please. You did it for Din. Please do it for Grogu. Please.
Give Din some paint.
Well, there's a chance of that happening because, and it's kind of like a small hint, because if you go to Doc Ondar's over at Galaxy's Edge, which we talked about this, they actually have his chainmail, of Grogu's chainmail that's right next to the helmet of Din Djarin, and then his rifle just kind of hanging up on the wall. So at some point, because if the land is technically canon, some of his stuff gets there. Somehow Doc Ondar, has his helmet, and he also has the chainmail of Grogu. I don't know how they're gonna make that make sense, but there better be some post-credit
they
scene
care
in the
about
final
that
episode. Yeah. They just have to make some type of post-credit scene like in the final episode of The Mandalorian of where, Doc Ondar is.
If
putting it
his
up on the
helmet
wall.
is there, then why are they walking around with Din walking around then?
Yeah, Liam, I agree. That's definitely a Chekhov's chest armor for Grogu.
He's
And
gonna take a
slight little
rocket or a
backtrack.
missile to it.
The generic clones, like the all-white clones, now have a gray backplate, like the recessed like rectangle on their backplate. It's now painted gray for some reason.
What's he gonna say?
That's just a small thing.
But see, if Grogu does speak, he's gonna have to take the creed, I think, unless there's like some type of like.
Do you think he's gonna be like, "This is the way," but he's gonna do the mental like, and then like Din's gonna be like looking at him, and you hear it like mentally. He's like,
Oh wow, yeah, that's a possibility. His lips don't move, and the whole clan sees him, and like, oh my gosh, he's talking, but he's not talking. So how does that count?
I suspect he's gonna say, Max Rebo lives. Like,
"Shut the man."
that's just
Honestly,
my guess. I just
something I could easily see is they have to trust each other in a situation, and Grogu's like, "I'm gonna like
That's
go
so
and fix
weird.
this," and Din is like, "No, don't go because I don't want you getting hurt or whatever," and he's like. He does like this weird thing, and then like it has them both like looking at each other, and then you hear like Grogu's voice for the first time in Din's head, and he's like, "This is the way." I'm like, I could easily see that happening, but I don't see Grogu ever being able to form words.
I
Please
just got
Dave
goosebumps
Filoni
of
be
you
the voice
saying
of
that. I
Grogu.
could see that happening. Oh man.
It has to double as a dinner plate. Look how massive that thing
It's
is.
so cringe.
Okay, idea though. The voice of Grogu in other people's head is Dave Filoni's voice.
Perfect.
Oh man. Oh, I don't think we talked about this, but Jon Favreau was voicing
Paz Vizsla.
yeah, but now he's not.
Are you
and-
sure?
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
so the voice of Paz Vizsla changed in Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah. And
who?
it's no
I'm finding it.
to some he's not that well known of an actor, and I think they're hinting at that some Mandalorians are going to take off their helmet, and I think that's why they changed.
It's Tate Fletcher.
Okay.
Is the new name. I was incorrect. So Jon Favreau did still voice him in Book of Boba Fett. I thought he found it different.
Yeah.
I was wrong there. But now it's Tate Fletcher in season
Yeah.
one.
Well, no.
That's no longer Jon Favreau voicing him.
Okay,
Okay, David.
Tate Fletcher is in the suit. I know
Right.
that 100% facts.
Okay.
I don't think his
so
voice sounds like Jon Favreau though.
Let me check IMDb because right now what I'm seeing is from Screen Rant. It's Mandalorian season 3, episodes 1 and 3. An actor named Tate Fletcher voices the character.
He
Okay.
yeah, he's
In the
no longer-
beginning, it was Favreau.
Right. But they changed it recently because I think this season is when some of them are going to take off their helmets, because I think something's going to happen of where maybe Bo will end up challenging Din at the end of this, and then she starts leading the people again, and one of the rules is that you're going to be able to take off their helmet, and he's going to, and I don't think Jon Favreau wanted to be like an on-screen person in the show, so I think that's why they switched it back to where they switched it to Tate Fletcher doing the voice.
Mm-hmm.
That's a possibility. It's just a theory, but I saw that, and that was one of the first
Theory.
things.
Yeah. I don't think that's accurate. I think it's still Jon Favreau. Tate Fletcher, I don't think he has the same type of voice that Jon Favreau has. Jon Favreau has
Hey,
a very distinct
well-
voice. And yeah, I'm on Wikipedia right now, and it says Tate Fletcher is portrayed Paz Vizsla
Okay.
is portrayed by Tate Fletcher, voiced by Jon Favreau. In The Mandalorian, in the credits, Chapter 3, The Sin, he was incorrectly identified as Paz Vizsla. This, however, has been eventually rectified.
Sheesh.
How-
Yeah, I still think, it's Jon Favreau's voice manipulated probably with the respeecher technology that they have.
Okay.
But yeah, I didn't learn that Tate Fletcher was actually one of the guys in the very first episode of the series that was picking on the Mythrol. That was Horatio Sands.
Okay.
He was a humanoid character. Because
Oh.
there was a humanoid, there was a what's the squid guy? Corin. And I think there's another character, but he was the humanoid and he was speaking in Huttese.
Yep.
Yeah.
He was the guy that like had like the beard, right? And he was bald.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, here's a shot or a sequence that we got from the trailer. So I think there's only one shot from the trailer now that we haven't gotten, is when they do the dropship drop with all the Mandalorians, and then I think Paz in front of the IG-11 statue shooting his chain gun.
So, not to dwell on Paz, but Tate Fletcher is listed as the guest starring for Paz Vizsla, and right below him is Tamora Morrison as Clone Troopers, which is, Tem only voiced him, and then Tate is listed as the only one for Paz. It does not list Jon Favreau as the voice. So John could have gone uncredited. It could have been a rebreather or revoicer or whatever, but
So he's normally credited as the voice,
yes.
but he's not in this one. And
No.
do you think that they just credited like the person who's actually in the suit?
Well, because they started crediting Lateef Crowder and Brendan Wayne for Mando in the head credits, which is amazing. Like, recognized stuntmen. But yeah, no, I think it might no longer be Favreau. But
All right, call him up.
call up Jon Favreau.
I guess
a
we
big
won't
deal,
find
I
out
will
until later, but I had my suspicions, and
Yeah.
that's a lot of the place, like, because I was doing my research and I saw that. So I guess we won't find out until something happens. But
I'll ask him in Celebration. No problem.
Okay,
I got
cool.
you guys.
Yeah, that'd be incredible if Tate Fletcher could inflect his voice to sound like Jon Favreau. It's either he's doing an impression of Jon Favreau, or it's
Or it is
Favreau's
sound Jon
voice.
Favreau.
Personally, I'm a fan of it not being voiced by Favreau, since Favreau did pre-Vizsla, and kind of keeping a distinction between those two characters. Even though season one, it was fun. Personally, I kind of do like the idea of it being someone else.
I also know there is the action figure that came out of the character, and it's Jon Favreau's face when you take off the helmet. But I think I guarantee that he didn't want to actually, be the actual character with his helmet taken off. I don't think he wanted that kind of position. Like, he didn't want to, be on screen with his face, because that means that.
Well, he is an actor,
right? But then that would take away his. I know he's an actor.
that would break,
Have you
like,
seen
the third
Chef?
wall.
Have you seen
Fourth wall.
Chef, my guy?
Yeah, yeah. So no, I just think that from my point of view, I could just see him just not being like, oh, I don't want to be on the screen. I still want to be behind the camera fully. That's just me, and I know that he's an actor, David.
Do you? He was in Spider-Man.
Oh,
and he was in Iron Man.
Oh no, I did
He was
not
in
know
the
these things.
MCU.
Crazy.
He was also in Daredevil.
Yeah, I would
He
say
was in the
be-
Daredevil.
Yeah, because he played Foggy or something, right? Like some
Swingers.
type of crazy. Wow.
And Monica's boyfriend in Friends.
Wow.
Shout out to
Crazy.
Marissa.
Thank you.
That's a deep cut.
Jeez.
That's a Legends reference and a half. Monica's canon.
No, Friends is not canon. Jon Favreau is canon. As
Okay.
Paz.
Okay. Anyway.
I got the action figure right here.
No.
Of Monica?
Incorrect again, sir. It is
Okay.
Jon Favreau. Let me get it.
I
Let me
was
get
confused there.
Oh my gosh, he's going full out. Jeez. Okay. Well, while that's happening, we're at a campfire area, and Bo's kind of asking like how things are kind of run, like is she allowed to take her helmet off while eating? Like how does that work? Oh my gosh. I know you have it. I was there. I know.
Daddy.
Incorrect again, sir. You were not there. I bought this over.
Did you not? Did you not get it at Celebration?
No,
I swear you got it at the Celebration. I thought we went over to the Hasbro
I
booth.
wanted to get at Celebration, but unfortunately,
No.
we didn't win the lotteries.
That was John Henry.
think-
Sorry. Yeah. Because
There was
I
also
really
Dave
flex on all of
Filoni
this, bro.
at Comic-Con in San Diego as
Got it.
well. Which
Okay.
that figure I don't have. That
No.
it's like the asking price is like crazy. But
I really like this campfire scene because we got a very traditionalistic view of things. We saw Bo kind of saying, like, "Hey, how do you guys eat?" And it was kind of like, "Oh, we just go out and about and eat a bit." And then she was like, "Oh, okay." So she starts leaving. Then you also saw Paz like, "Hey, no, you stay here." So she's already, deeply entrenched in the respect of these people. They already like deeply hold her regard and want to make sure that she's treated fairly as the leader of this war party, which was very nice to see.
yeah, she got in good quick.
Yeah.
I like the whole explaining of how you eat your food. Everyone has to like leave and not see each other, which is kind of
You
awkward.
just shout
but-
when you're done. You're like, all right, guys.
Yeah, the one at the
Good.
campfire has to like make sure they're done and helmet on before people start returning.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it is Katie Sackhoff.
Who?
Can get the right brand.
Model?
KT Sackhoff.
Oh no.
Gotcha.
I didn't know who that was.
And her hair is perfect. After all
Her
that helmet wearing.
Battlestar
Yeah.
Galactica 2.
her hair looks a lot better than what she had in season 2 of Mando.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that, but it's like, did the hair just simply grow? Or, I mean,
I think it's just a new wig.
I know
Same
it's a
as,
new
like,
wig,
Ahsoka
but I
got
mean,
new head tails and Mando
Yeah.
Yeah,
to look better.
I was about to say that. Because of the ones in the Ahsoka series, definitely look a lot better than what we first got her in.
Yeah, I think it's just costumes changing because they're between seasons.
so you're
But it
saying
looks
that
great.
Ahsoka got new head tails.
They
Ahsoka's
are
new
slightly
look is-
longer. Yes.
Yeah.
They are not the same ones that we saw her have in season 2 of Mando, of when she made her live action appearance.
And where did you see those at? On the
At
preview?
Celebration.
Celebration.
Yes, at
Okay.
Celebration at the panel.
I didn't,
and
I didn't really
including-
notice a difference. It's
okay.
kind of
I was
interesting
like,
because a lot of people are bringing that up, and it's like I didn't really see that big a difference. but-
there was also the image from the Ahsoka show that like kind of showed like the new shows coming out this year. Like it showed something from Loki, it showed something from Ahsoka, it showed something from Mando.
right, where
and-
she has like her arms crossed, and it's
Right,
like, well,
right. And you can see that her headpiece is a lot longer than what we saw in Mando season
Hmm.
2.
yeah, I didn't pick up on that at all.
Mhm.
Still look pretty short in comparison to the animation. Yeah, they're using their lariats here.
There
their
you go. Colin.
ropes.
I just sent the picture to show off.
Climb! Climb!
You must climb. Are those the same are those like the same grappling hooks from the Phantom Menace? I didn't get a good like look at the. Could you back up to
I don't think they ever showed the actual grapple hook part. And I think these came out of their gauntlets, right? These are just the traditional Mandalorian lariats. Yeah, gauntlet, yeah.
Cool. just climbing up a mountain.
And we saw the Shriek Hawk, the Death Watch symbol on one of their shoulders. One of the Mandos that was climbing around. I think it was that one.
Yeah, right there. It's kind of hard to see, but
And they did not use their jetpacks because they knew it would make a lot of noise and it would scare off the creatures. And then we kind of get an answer to a question where we were wondering if the kid was Paz's son, and he says it, he actually says the words of saying he's my son, which we already suspected, but we got the confirmation of that. And again, it's cool that the actor playing his son is the nephew of Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh,
Huh.
what do you know?
Yeah,
The more you
Crazy.
know. Crazy.
yeah, and some people had a little bit of an issue with this scene right here on the screen with the thermal imaging there, because
Why?
it kind of looks like a body. It looks like the head on the far right, but I mean, I guess you can kind of disguise that in a way.
What?
As,
Because
Yeah.
it doesn't look the size of 3 gigantic.
exactly.
They're like probably
Pterosaur
all clumped like.
Well,
clumped
they all
together.
clown card out of
Yeah.
Bo's ship later too, so I just kind of accept that they can
Yeah.
become one solid mass, the rough size of a human giant,
Yeah.
for transportation purposes.
Look at that. You're telling me that was that thermal image?
It's a Bacon in Space show.
That's
you
what I
can't
said.
put
Have
logic in Star Wars. How many
fake
times do we have
tension.
to say this, man? You can't do that.
First, you want to put Monica in Star Wars. Now, logic.
Yeah, geez, man, come on.
No, don't put words in my mouth. I never wanted to have that. I've seen the last Scream movie. No.
How did we also feel about the kid just being in the creature's mouth, and then he's like I just thought that was interesting because it's like, is there like a second pouch like in the creature's
Well,
stomach?
that's what birds do, Colin. That
Yeah.
Really?
yeah.
Man, I'm getting such
So
an
it wasn't
education
that
today. This is
far-fetched.
crazy. Thank you so much,
Was-
David.
Roast Colin.
Jeez. Anyways, continue.
Colin, do you know birds are government drones?
What?
Pigeons specifically.
They don't exist.
Education time.
Yeah, I thought this sequence was pretty cool. All in the jetpacks.
The second Bo lost her shoulder plate, I was like, oh, is she joining Din's clan?
Mm.
I almost thought she was going to get a mudhorn on her shoulder.
I
but-
think she's playing the long game.
Oh, yeah, no, she's playing the long game.
Yeah.
100%. Granted, on how the episode ended, she is playing the long game.
Yeah. Yeah. This whole chase scene definitely felt like a Clone Wars episode-ish of just them flying with their jetpacks.
Jetpacks and then always a bigger fish.
Yep. And then that right there just felt like a Jurassic World Easter egg.
It was. It totally was, bro. I saw that. I was like, what the heck?
Da-na-na-na-na. Yeah. Yep. And then he's like, oh my gosh. Thank you so much for saving my son.
Hey, no problem. I got you.
This is the way. I feel like they could definitely make a drinking game, like out of this entire show. Like, for example,
I'm down.
every single time they would say, "This is the way," you would have to take a shot because they like say it a lot in this episode too.
Who? How much of season 3 can you remember?
and they come back.
New round of applause. Mandalorians clanking their gauntlets. Shout out to the costume department for making them survive that for how many takes they had to do.
And we see that Bo ends up getting high praise, and I think she was trying to make a good impression because again, she's playing the long game, and we'll definitely talk about it in a sec. But we have the clown car type situation where the creatures come out of the ship, somehow they all fit in the ship, and we're probably going to see these creatures in the future. Probably some of the Mandalorians riding them into battle. How do we feel about that?
It was interesting that Bo described these creatures as foundlings.
I feel
And
like
at first I thought, are they going to like try and bring them in the clan? But no, I mean, they're probably going to be mounts. But
mounts are food.
I think that the idea of what a foundling is now changing in our perception because of having Grogu and these. It's kind of like whatever they come across that they know they can add to the creed. I feel like that is what a foundling is.
Well, didn't it was also brought up about why Grogu doesn't wear a helmet. Din said he's something not a foundling yet.
He can't speak the creed, so that's why he can't have the helmet. Because if he can't speak the little I'm never gonna take off my helmet, then they're like, no.
Yeah.
The whole Wesley Kimmel speech.
Yeah, I love the pacing of the episode. I thought it was great of just seeing all the Mandalorians, learning more about the Mandalorian culture, of the flashback and everything. And this definitely sets up a potential civil war throughout the Mandalorian people. Because if Bo ends up in actually winning the Darksaber in combat from Din, then what's going to happen is she's going to change. I feel like one of the first rules she's going to change is taking off the helmet. And I don't think the armor is going to like that. I could see her fighting that a lot to where maybe she just leaves the group like altogether. And
so you'll think we'll never see Emily Swallow's face?
I mean, I think we will eventually, but I think this will definitely lead to a civil war type situation. Because I know because the armor is very strong on the belief of keeping the helmet on and all of the main traditions when Bo is not. And I could definitely see her character saying, no, I will not stand by you unless you will go the actual way of the Mandalorian, like of my way of the Mandalorian people. So I think that she will definitely probably have some type of dispute with Bo, and it will make her leave, and then we'll see her come back later. But
so, yeah,
her
Tim
taking off her helmet.
Tim cites the meme lord. He brings up an interesting aspect of that. If someone is mute, never able to speak, can they take the creed?
I think the speaking was that Grogu's too young to speak. It's kind of their version of like Grogu's a minor. Let's let him like grow up a bit before he makes big boy choices.
But how old do I have
90.
to be?
Yeah, I think
90
there is like probably some things for if you're a grown, you're able to write to join the creed or something. But I think the main point was Grogu's too young to do it right now.
Could he not like
Tender age of 50?
Could he not do the force communication thing like he did with Ahsoka and just put it in everyone's brains of saying like, hey,
But also this is wild speculation because we just found out about this like speak the creed thing a couple hours ago.
Well, I mean, that and Bo technically didn't speak the creed when she went and saved.
That's true. All she did but that also could be the armor playing some things because we don't know who the armor actually is. Could be that lady that sieged Mandalore with the horns on her helmet. Like all those speculation things.
I think the armor is she's just making up these rules as she goes along.
I mean, she gaslights the hell out of her, bro.
Yeah.
No, armor's good at that.
I was like, yeah, we see a lot down there. You're like, no, real. Oh, I bet, buddy.
Hey, guess what?
Last time I had a shot every time we said, this is the way I saw stuff too.
Yeah. She then just kind of ends it with like of where I just love how Bo's like, no, I saw it for real. And then she's like, yeah, sure. Guess what? This is the way. And I was like, okay, just like you are totally like
I
Like
was
why? Just
okay.
yeah. Oh man. But we see that Bo gets her new sigil. I think she got the mythosaur because at some point she's gonna claim that she's seen the mythosaur and she's gonna challenge Din for the dark saber, and then that's how she kind of leads the people in the correct way, because she has tried to lead the Mandalorian people 3 times, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this would be her 4th or 3rd. Someone help me out.
I think she's only ruled in
Twice?
Rebels.
Well, she technically got the dark saber at the end of the Clone Wars after the siege.
That's right. So
And then she lost it.
and they kind of became sex. Then she rejoined them with it. Or so twice. She attempted a 3rd time, but she never got the dark saber. So this is her attempt at a 3rd, I believe.
Yes. Okay. Cool.
But her family was the last,
Yeah.
big boys.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was super shocking that she revealed that she saw the mythosaur to the armor.
I was not expecting that.
I was kind of blown away with that. And now she has that information. And every time we kind of think that she's playing the long game, it seems like she's playing a shorter game. Because I think a lot of us kind of thought that she would maybe be more villainous, more plotting. But it seems like she's more on the light side of the gray scale, even though she is kind of gray. It's kind of interesting. It's getting stuff that I did not expect. But that's why I like this season. That's why I like this show.
Yeah.
I also like sigils being geometric pieces instead of always just being paint.
Yes.
That's just a very neat way to showcase it.
The way that this episode ended was where it ended in the last episode of where it was looking at the mythosaur on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I think that's a hint that everything happening with Bo will lead to them going to see the mythosaur and Bo rising to power and everything. Could there be a civil war? I could definitely see it happening.
There was also a point when Armor mentioned she was making the shoulder, right? That it was like, this won't have all the modern enhancements, which to me wonders what are the modern enhancements in a shoulder armor. But it's also like, it's a very almost medieval look at Mandalorians, this sect. They are very much living in the past and kind of are on a cultural reset back to where they were probably hundreds of years before.
I think she trusts Din at this point, but I think that she knows that the armor is kind of like the leader of the group, and she just wanted to maybe get like the main person in charge's opinion before she like just started, kind of talking about
feelers.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was interesting. Her response is, "You had a vision," and she's like, "No, I actually saw the real thing." And then she's just like, "Is the armor's kind of response like, okay, like patting her on the head? Okay, you saw something, you think it was real, okay?" Or does the armor kind of think like, okay, she saw the real mythosaur? I don't. It's a little vague there, but now the armor has that information. Has that experience with Bo that, okay, if it comes back around where there's like a clue or something and Bo kind of hit it, it's going to not look that great on Bo. So.
Yeah. And then
Can we get another woman's view?
We have them looking at the mythosaur skull on the wall, and then it fades to black, and then we get some what? Wait, what? Oh. And it fades to black, and then we end up seeing very cool art. All the stuff with Order 66 was super great. I just hope that show idea that I was talking about like comes true, because I think that would be great of just seeing different perspectives from different Jedi on the run. It'd be awesome.
That would
But
be a great show.
Yeah,
Or movie.
You've got Grogu with the rock crabs. You've got him training.
Yeah.
So overall, on a scale from 1 to 10, how do we feel?
I don't know. I like this episode a lot. I like the pacing. I like where we were going. I like it's kind of had me realize what I like a whole season where it's just them doing their own thing. It doesn't have to really follow a main story plot line, and I'm okay with that. I think when everyone really just lets their guard down and goes, you know what, I'm just gonna go with the flow, they'll enjoy this episode a lot more for what it is. Honestly, for me, this is probably about an 8.5 to a 9 for me. I loved just the majority of it, and then we get a good answer and good questions for the next couple of seasons.
David?
Yeah, with that review Token just gave, I think my ranking raised a few levels. So maybe like an 8.5.
Okay.
I really love that moment with Ahmed Best, him being the one that we were kind of wondering about all these years, who kind of helped Grogu out of there. It's an awesome thing that he's back. I think that Ahmed Best should be like that one guy, almost like a Stan Lee type, almost like showing up in every project in some way, shape, or form.
That would be fun. That would be really fun.
And it was so great to see Order 66 again. That's another kind of area in Star Wars I think they could exploit even more. I think a lot of people say that we've seen enough of it. I don't think we've seen enough. So one of my favorite things.
Yeah. Whose ship do we think that he like was using when they left the planet?
I think it was Padme's.
I don't think it was Padme.
Yeah, well,
I don't think
you're not thinking, I think, the right way, because I think Padme had one ship that she came down to Coruscant in, and I think that was the kind of like spare ship that came down.
Or maybe
so they had like redundancy there.
Or maybe it was someone else from Naboo.
That's possible too.
There's the potential of it possibly being.
Aren't the Chrome ones always
Jar Jar Binks?
royalty?
That could be the ship.
I think the guards too. The guards kind of lend to it being a royal ship as well. So that's why I'm thinking that it was
Padme
another
took her
one of
long wing variant to Mustafar's where she died. It's not the snub fighter, so it could be hers.
Yeah,
that's possible.
It was one of her like maids.
Yeah, I mean it could be that, or it could be Jar Jar Binks. Like, I mean, that
that's Jar Jar Binks.
That'd be
the next
so
flashback.
meta, bro.
I know, but that would be pretty cool though, because that would tie in both of these characters. I'm just saying.
Then everyone who would ever show this entire show to any of their like new friends or whatever would be like, "Look, did you know that that's actually the same?" Like, they would be that.
Yeah,
constantly awful. Yeah. No thanks.
But yeah, no, I love the episode. I'm giving the episode like a solid like a 7.5.
8.5. I think you mean.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, I do really feel like it's because do you feel like we can go a whole season of just having these fun individual episodes of just training pieces, or do you feel like we really need a focus like the other two seasons?
I think there is a focus. It's just not a traditional focus. I think they're setting up stuff in the grand scheme, and I think that for a traditional show, I think it's kind of annoying some people that they're not following like the rules of a TV show or the rules of storytelling. And I mean, Star Wars is there's a lot of whimsy in it. And
I remember when people were getting annoyed with that spider episode with the Mandalorian, and they're like, it's just, it's not following the story. I'm like, all of this season has been like the spider episode. So I'm kind of sitting here going like, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I love it. To me, this is awesome. I haven't had an issue with any of this stuff.
I'm thinking about it now. I'm like, it's smart to do it like that because I feel like if we just keep going down the same, like, like it's like one story, I feel like it'd be played out. Like everyone would be like, all right, and then this happens. All right, and then this happens. And I'm happy that we're going a new direction. Big players in the Mandalorian that come back, like Moff Gideon would be fun to see, but I don't know if that's focusing. Because for me, I'm kind of like, what happens if we get to the end of the season and then you get that whole kind of like, oh look, and then Thrawn is alive and he's gonna be in Ahsoka. Like, is that okay? Or do people really need like 3 episodes of them like trying to find someone, and then they find someone, and then there's a big reveal that it's actually Thrawn? Yay! Like, do we need that, or can we just be like having our fun little episodes all the way through the season?
I think if they do show Thrawn, it will probably be at the end and will lead into Ahsoka, because I mean, Ahsoka would make the most sense of where they would do the reveal for his character. But something also threw me off is that Rosario Dawson did post, like last week of saying, "Hey, tune in for episode 4 of this season," and it kind of hinted at that she was going to be in it, and then she wasn't in it. So I'm curious of why she did that.
Do we
This
need
is what she posted right here.
Yeah.
She's saying, as I Jones for the next Mando episode, this is the way.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe there was like a little bit too much of a knee-jerk reaction to that post. I don't know if that was the actual only post that people were reacting to. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that also made sense because Dave Filoni like did write it. So it
yeah, and
kinda
everyone
made sense.
like drew that conclusion. Oh my gosh, we're gonna get an Ahsoka episode.
Well, we didn't, and that's totally fine. I'm fine with that. I think Ahsoka will definitely have an appearance at some point in the season because it's going to have to lead into Ahsoka, and into the actual show. Which again, all that stuff is coming up, very soon. And then we're getting a sneak peek at Star Wars Celebration. We're getting so much news coming up. Like I can't believe that's in a couple of weeks. Like that's crazy.
Star Wars Celebration, yeah, man, it comes up pretty soon, man.
Yeah.
You thought that euros was the currency of the UK.
Don't. Why are you doing this, man? Why? Okay, and I didn't know. No, I fine. I'm calling out my mother right now.
No, don't blame your
get
mom.
her on the horn.
She gave birth to you. Shut up. That's all on you, dog.
Oh, man. Okay. Well,
It's an honest mistake.
yeah, it's fine. I'm getting it switched. It's whatever. But thank you for calling me out on.
No problem. Honest American mistake. No problem. I would have loved if you took the euros over there and you're like, I pay. And they're like, what?
I think the worst part is I actually told you this and you said nothing. So that's also on you too. Because I did say like,
boom goes the dynamite.
Now it's me. Now it's on me.
you like could have been. Yes, Liam, I'm sorry. Okay, just all right. Anyways, we are on Instagram at Star Wars Stuff Podcast. We're also on Twitter at Stuff Pod. Please go and support our Patreon. Star Wars Stuff Podcast 2187.
Like Liam does.
Yeah.
And Mecca.
For everyone on Patreon, thank you so much for supporting us on there. We're also on TikTok. Search Star Wars Stuff Podcast. We also have a Gmail, StarWarsStuffPodcast@gmail.com. Facebook, Star Wars Stuff Group, and Star Wars Stuff Podcast page. Please go on
sites.
Also go on Apple Podcasts. Please give us a review, even though it's all about David. We also have a
All
Twitch.
my fans.
Star Stuff Gaming. Again, we would not be doing this if it wasn't for you guys. Thanks again for Josh cloning around being on. We love having him on. Tune in for our other breakdown of the Bad Batch tonight of the Tipping Point, episode 14.
That's a pretty good
Season 2.
episode.
Check it out. It actually was a pretty great episode. So, with from myself, David, and Josh, may the force be with you.
Always.
Always.
This is the way.
This is the way.